You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
I'm Anthony Newbold. Welcome to A Closer Look. Crime in the news. And so my guest this week is the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Marvin Daines. Minister, welcome again to the show.
Thank you so much, Mr. Newbold. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Listen, the spate of killings over the weekend has people obviously concerned. And I'm sure you are as well. But you say, listen, police is in control of what's going on.
Yeah.
What brings you to that conclusion?
Well, absolutely. I mean, this is, something that I continue to reiterate anytime I have the opportunity to speak to the press or in public forums, that this is not something that is unexpected. I continue to say that it took us decades to get here. It's going to take us some time to get out of it. After having said that, let's just look at some numbers over the last 4.5 years compared to the previous 4.5 years. Overall, crime is down some 54%. Overall crime. When we look at murders, for example, the last 4.5 years compared to the previous 4.5 years, it's down some 29%, almost 30%. We look at armed robberies, for example, down some 54%. We look at rapes, down some 61% over the last 4 years compared to the previous 4 years. We look at property crimes like housebreaking, down some 54%. And so what we have witnessed over the last 4.5 years compared to the previous 4.5 years is crime, serious crimes, halved, more than halved, okay? So that's a demonstration, a clear demonstration that we are moving in the right direction. Now, after having said that, what's occurring now, we're going to see from time to time these spates, these ebbs, these flows. The police are very much on top of that, and you can see just recently a young man went to court for some 5 homicides, murders, and then there are a number of other persons just waiting to be arraigned, and many have been arraigned already. But this is a clear indication that, and I continue to say this problem is just bigger than the police. And when we just confine it to the police, it shows that we're missing something. And that's the reason why our government, from day one, since coming into office, said that we will take a multifaceted, multidisciplinary approach to this problem. Now, let's compare what's happening here in the Bahamas to other parts of the world. Since COVID-19, many countries, including the United States, even I think as of 2019, 2020, would have seen an exponential increase in violent crimes.
Especially gun violence.
Especially gun violence.
Yeah.
And double-digit increase. Last year, we had one of the lowest murder numbers in more than a decade. I think it was some 74 homicides. And so when we compare last year with this year, and you see that that murders have increased, we're saying that it has increased over last year, which is understandable too. But in the US, for example, they're attributing these significant increases to the times that we're in the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of unemployment, gun sales have increased significantly. And so if they have increased significantly in the States, then it's going to have some impact on us because many of the weapons that we're seeing in our country originate out of the United States. And so we've been working with our partners to address that issue.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because you're right, we don't make guns here.
Yeah.
But so many of the crimes committed are committed with guns.
Yeah.
Where are these guns coming from? How are they getting in here?
Well, first it starts with the demand. And I always, whenever I'm asked that question, I often refer people back to, let's look at the drug trade. Despite our efforts and the millions and millions of dollars that we invest each year, along with our partners in the United States and other parts of the region, in trying to mitigate the flow of illicit drugs through our waters, they continue to come. Why is that? Because there is a demand. And as long as there is a demand, persons will find ways to fill that demand. Ours is a nation of some 700 islands stretched over some 100,000 square miles of sea. And we like to talk about that, especially when we're trying to promote ourselves. But with that comes a very significant challenge of having to police a very porous border, okay? And when you have that tremendous influx of pleasure crafts, you have Bahamians moving back and forth by vessels through the United States. You have cruise ships, you have vessels of all kinds traversing our waters. It certainly opens the door for weapons to come in, and we import just about everything we eat and wear. And I was in the business some years back, and I can tell you, you found weapons in some of the most ingenious places, in tied boxes, in engine blocks, and embedded in vehicles.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the thing is, as long as there's a demand, you'll continue to see that.
You have to account for this. You have to think that some people may think, because of the recent spate, that this capital city may be an unsafe place to live.
No, it's not, far from it. When you look at many of these incidents, what we're finding out is that there are relationships. In many cases, the victim is generally known to the perpetrator.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in most instances, we're talking about young men, our sons, our nephews, our grandsons. That's who we're talking about.
Any of the recent killings related to Camp Road?
Yeah. Well, we had a number of persons, certainly over this year, who would have been murdered out of the community of Camp Road. And we know, the police that is, that there is an ongoing feud between some of those persons and other persons in other communities. And they're doing any number of things to try to mitigate that.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. We got to take a break. I want to talk some more about that, but we got to take a break. Speaking with the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Marvin Dames. We'll be back after this.
At the Dixon Hill Lighthouse in San Salvador to let you know that marine protected areas make dollars and cents. A well-designed and managed network of protected areas can generate income for nearby communities. From MPA managers to lodges to eco-tours, there is money to be made.
Healthy marine ecosystems help to protect our islands from climate change and other impacts that we cannot control. Healthy coral reefs help to break down fake waves, and mangroves absorb storm surge and help to protect our coastline.
Older and larger fish tend to carry more and healthier eggs than younger fish. Fish replenishment areas will allow fish to grow bigger and ensure that we have more fish now and in the future.
In our replenishment area, fish are free to grow and reproduce. As their populations increase, more fish will spill over into other areas where fishermen can increase their catch and their income.
I support the establishment of a marine protected area on my island.
I support the establishment of marine protected areas on my island.
I support the establishment of marine protected areas on my island.
I support the establishment of a marine protected area on my island, and you should too.
And you should too.
And you should too.
And you should too.
See the future with Bahamas Protected.
More than 47,000 electronic devices, many with data, were distributed to public school students. Increased access to the University of the Bahamas, that in addition to free tuition there since 2018, and housing allowance for UB's Family Island students.
Welcome back to A Closer Look. I'm Anthony Newbold, speaking with Minister of National Security, the Honorable Marvin Dames, talking about the recent spate of murders. And I wondered, there have been some killings in Kemp Road. I wondered whether the recent spate of killings was connected in any way to the recent murders.
Yeah, some of them, I mean, the police are following any number of leads. Some of them are not.
Yeah.
And some of them are isolated incidents.
Yeah.
But the police are very much aware as to, you know, who the players are, and they are doing a yeoman's task.
Yeah. Is
to
there any
compile
update?
the evidence.
Yeah. Is there any update you can give us on what's happening with Kemp Road, or are you going to save that for?
Yeah, I will save that for the commission. I get my updates on a daily basis. And I'm very confident in the direction in which they're going. And you can expect to see very shortly some additional arraignments in any number of these matters.
Yeah.
But we don't want to get to that point of arraignments. We're looking at ways to prevent and mitigate these issues. And that's the long-term fix.
Yeah, because, and I know that you, speaking with you over the years, you always talk about a multi-agency approach to dealing with crime. What does that look like for you?
Well, as you know, I mean, you know, when we look at this from a bigger picture, you know, you can't talk about crime without talking about education. Many of our young men, for example, who get caught up in this cycle of violence and end up at the Bahamas Department of Corrections, what we find is that many of them don't have a skill, would not have completed high school, and are absent of that basic education, and therefore they're not marketable. And so they can't compete out there for jobs. Yeah. And that's a very bad place to be. It makes them more susceptible and more open and attractive to those persons who are in that business of crime to pull these young men, and in some cases young women, over. And so we have been working through, for example, this partnership with IDB through the Citizen Security and Justice Program to improve literacy, numeracy, and skills, to look at conflict resolution throughout our communities, to work with these individuals to find employment or to go, you know, to become entrepreneurs, because, you know, and to build families. So we feel that if we together work collectively on these areas, that it reduces the opportunity and the chance for these young persons to end up in a life of crime. That's just one aspect of it.
Yeah, and as we're talking about that, I spoke with one of the leaders of the Citizens Watch
Right.
committee, whatever it's called, and I should remember, you won't forgive me.
Yeah, National Neighborhood Watch.
National Neighborhood
Yeah.
Watch. That must be one of the programs that you're proud of.
It's a tremendous program. We have well over 130 National Neighborhood Watch groups throughout this country. Cabinet would have recently approved the appointment of former Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mrs. Miller Davis Delancey,
Yes.
to be the person who oversees that. This is actually, she's been in office now for a little more than 2 weeks, and she hit the ground running. And you can expect some amazing things from there. Right now, that group has garnered any number of international awards and has placed the Bahamas in the position as a world leader in community policing. And we're very excited about the prospects of the future. We're working on a couple things. We're building an app that will be unique to us, but that will set the NNWC on a global standards. But what we're seeing as a result of some of the works by these neighborhood watch groups is that we're seeing significant reduction in property crimes, especially in our communities. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, we can boast that over the last 4+ years, house breakings, for example, have decreased more than 54% compared to the previous 4 years. And we're excited about the prospects. They have an agenda that they will be rolling out real shortly to deal with domestic violence in our communities, gang violence, and any sexual violence and domestic violence. And so you should be hearing a lot more about that very shortly.
How is technology helping with the fight against crime? And are you comfortable with where we are with our current use of technology?
I would say, Anthony, that we consider ourselves among the world leaders in technology. This government would have taken a position very early on that technology will assist in driving our success. We continue to increase the number of closed-circuit television cameras throughout the country that are, I mean, these are the best in breed in technology, so it allows us to get analytics and to do license plate recognition. Now, this was approved by Cabinet a few years ago, and we're rolling it out. It's, you know, it's a process. The ShotSpotter technology has been another added boost and feature. We have been able to make any number of interdictions through the police and arresting persons after having fired off their weapons. We're looking to expand that technology. And our drones technology, which is a little bit more sophisticated and complicated. When I say complicated, because it's a process, and we can't wait to see that in full effect. We have the company in town now. They've been in town. They've been running testing. They've been putting in place the infrastructure, running testing. We have the submersible, and we've been using the submersible through the Defense Force on that most recent accident, boating accident, jet ski accident. But we're not at 100% yet because the infrastructure is still being built. The training is currently being conducted because these are very sophisticated equipment. Some of them, some of these drones could go up and be up for as long as 10 hours.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say that I shouldn't be too concerned with that drone I hear in my neighborhood. But I got to take a break, and we'll be back after this for the final segment with the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Marvin Daines.
Hey, y'all, what's up?
Hey, what's that?
What y'all getting?
Listen, I've been waiting to march down some logs here.
Hi, I'm Matthew. I will be you guys waiter today. Can I take your order? Oh, I've been chewing for some grouper dread.
Y'all see this?
See, this ain't gonna work.
Where the fish gone, though?
But how though?
Don't leave our children with no fish in their future. Protect our sea. Protect our way of life. Protect the Bahamas. To learn how you can help, find us on Facebook at Bahamas Protected. Sea, the future.
The Ministry of Health wishes to advise members of the public that prevention is key during this flu season. Practicing good cough hygiene can make the difference between you and your loved ones getting the flu or spreading the influenza virus. Good cough hygiene habits include covering your mouth and nose with a tissue when coughing or sneezing, and proper disposal of the tissue in a trash bin. Coughing or sneezing into your upper sleeve near your inner elbow and not your hands when a tissue is not available. Avoiding the use of handkerchiefs and towels as they hold germs, becoming a nest for the virus. And frequently washing your hands with soap and water, which is listed as one of the most important steps you can take to avoid getting sick and passing the virus on to others. If you have any questions about how to practice good cough hygiene to avoid catching or spreading the flu, contact your nearest community clinic or the Health Education Division at the Ministry of Health. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health in partnership with the Public Hospitals Authority.
Hey, have you heard? ZNS is everywhere you are when you download the new ZNS app. Whether you're on the move or just kicking back. Miss something on the news? It's there. Want to keep up with a live update? It's there. Or just want to listen to your favorite station? It's there too. Download the app now from the App Store and Google Play Store.
Hurricane season is here, so now's the time to start checking off your list. Make note of what you have. Test your batteries, radio, flashlights, and the expiry date on your first aid kit. You may have to replace a few things. Then make sure you have at least 1 gallon of drinking water per day for each person, 2 weeks supply of non-perishable food, a cooler for ice, and if you have an infant, pack a bag of baby items. Keep spare toilet paper, paper towels, and sanitation wipes, along with cleanup supplies, trash bags, waterproof packaging for personal documents, and mosquito repellent. Have 2 extra face masks per person and enough hand sanitizer and life vests for everyone in the household. And have a plan. If shelter gets compromised, plan with household members beforehand how you will escape. That might mean having a knife, axe, crowbar, or other tool to pry open a door, window, or roofing in an emergency. For more information and a full hurricane prep checklist, visit ZNSBahamas.com.
Welcome back to A Closer Look. I'm Anthony Newbold speaking with Minister Marvin Baines. And we were talking, I kind of made a joke of it, but
yeah,
you're talking about the extent of the work you're doing with drones.
Yeah, yeah, this is, you know, Anthony, this has been a very significant investment by the government and the people of this nation. And we want to make certain that it is done correctly. And these drones are not your Walmart or Target drones. These are very smart drones that will have the capability to respond to gunshots, the capability to track offenders after the commission of crimes. And we would have run a test during my budget submission, and I think it aired over over ZNS TV, the parliamentary channel, where a gunshot was fired and the drone was in the nest. That information was transmitted through ShotSpotter to the drone, and the drone was able to leave its nest and respond to that gunshot. We have said that there will be nests at strategic places throughout New Providence that will allow these drones to respond to gunshots, to respond to crime and armed robberies in progress, to respond to anything that the police would need assistance with. And so that they will be like the eye in the sky for the police. We're very excited about it, and I can't wait to see it in full operation.
Yeah, unfortunately, last week the president of Haiti, Jovenel Moise, he was assassinated, and obviously we've had to ramp up security at our borders. How does that change? How did that impact your life as Minister of National Security once that happened?
Yeah, well, we're always looking out for factors that could impact on our national security, and hence the reason why, you know, we have frequent meetings with the leadership within the RBDF and the RBPF, and the other agencies, and now the National Crime Intelligence Agency, because we want to know if there are any factors internally or externally that could impact upon the national security of this nation. And as those information are compiled, we're looking at measures that we can take as a government to ensure that our sovereignty is protected and that the people of this nation is protected. Yeah. And that's when you have a machinery that is working the way it ought to, then it gives you an opportunity to stay ahead of these things.
How was COVID, and I think you referred briefly to it earlier, how has COVID impacted crime in the country, in your mind?
Well, I can tell you one thing. It's taken certainly a toll on policing resources, on law enforcement resources, because, you know, when you look at, for example, what would have transpired in this nation since 2019 with Dorian, where we had to take a significant amount of police and defense force resources and shift to Abaco and Grand Bahama because there was a significant need. And we have now to work to maintain that need as we bring those islands back to some normalcy. And knowing that those resources are moving from New Providence and you have to really double up on them, that there is an impact, certainly, on the capital. And it means now that we have to police smarter. And we have to certainly recruit more and recruit young, capable men and women who can assist in the fight. And one thing this government has done is that we would have recruited more persons despite COVID, despite the challenges with COVID, despite the challenges with Dorian. We would have recruited more people in these agencies than any previous government. And that's a demonstration of our commitment to ensuring that we keep the Bahamian people safe.
Yeah, let me ask you about that, talking about recruitment, because whatever we see comes from among us, including those who turn to crime. What has your recruitment efforts been like? Are you satisfied that you're getting some really good?
Yeah, we have, and we have taken the approach, this government that is, that when we recruit, we want the brightest and the best, the most trustworthy. And as a part of the recruitment effort in all of these agencies, we have a psychological component, and that every prospective candidate, you know, has to undertake to ensure that we are recruiting persons that we all can be proud of. And, you know, it's certainly unfortunate from time to time, as you correctly said, that, you know, these agencies are only a microcosm of our wider society. And from time to time, you're going to have individuals, no matter how secure and how protected you think your training and recruitment is, that you're going to have individuals who find themselves on the other side of the law. But rest assured that, you know, whenever we do find them, that they will face the full brunt of the law.
And they face the full brunt of the law. And as you correctly said, we did this before.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do another show with you. But as we come to the end of this one, as they feel the full brunt of the law, you've also been doing something with expunging records and clemency.
Oh, yes. We're very excited about that. And the Prime Minister himself, you know, frequently we have conversations in and around this, because it's always good when you can give persons a second chance on life, a new lease on life. And through this Rehabilitation of Offenders Committee, led by a former Commissioner of Police, Paul Farquharson, they have been doing a tremendous job and making recommendations for the expungements of records of Bahamians who have assimilated and productive citizens. And I've had an opportunity to speak to any number of them. And it always warms my heart to know that, you know, people are so grateful that they do have that second chance. And the expungement, but also with the clemency, that we have released on clemency deserving Bahamians who have been serving time in the Bahamas Department of Corrections and who have demonstrated that they are now ready to be reintegrated into society. I think at the beginning of this year, we would have released on clemency well in excess of 130, and the committee is currently meeting now, and we are reviewing more than 200 applications. And so this is good. This is good. This is good. We love it.
It is good, and you'll come back and we'll do another
Absolutely.
show. Thank you, and thank you for watching. Thank you for watching A Closer Look. Remember, you can also see us on YouTube and on Facebook.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
That exists within the fisheries sector is said to be as vast as the ocean, and the raw marine materials that can be harvested limitless. Those direct